How we doing, Tin Pail? What's happening? Sunday night, 11:30. I've been choking to come on and do a video all day, but um, while I was researching it, my kid would boot playing, so I wasn't ready to make it. And then when I felt able to make it, he would come in and play the computer, so it was kind of hindering me, but he's away to bed now because obviously he's got school tomorrow. And obviously the more I'm back into my routine, because obviously, as I explained, I think in my last video, how I had just been kind of keeping myself to myself all week, just reflecting on a lot of stuff, kind of personal issues and stuff to do with my kid's mum, all that kind of stuff, just life in it. But um, obviously I've still been doing my kind of reading and researching stuff and just try to think up like new ideas and new things to talk about. And that's the thing, see, like about, especially about crime, it's just, not to sound like a sensationalist, but crime is the gift that keeps on giving if you're into criminology and all this kind of stuff, because it's something, it's like a tap that never goes off if you're like talking about it or whatever, because it was here way before I showed up and before all you showed up, and it'll be here long after we all shuffle off the earth. So plenty to talk about, plenty of stories to analyse and all this kind of stuff. But in saying that, obviously, I need to pick up with my interviews, and I'm not going to lie, see, after kind of all the stuff that went on with my first interview with Jerry, like it was a successful interview, but I did get kind of um kind of reprimanded off YouTube and all this kind of stuff. So I was just like, I need to kind of watch that. Obviously, my channel isn't coming across as trying to glorify any kind of violence, trying to sensationalise any kind of violence, because when you look at a lot of the newspaper stories, that's what they're for. That's their aim, because it's like, even being on YouTube, like you could sit and talk about um say like say the more I made a video about like finding the cure for cancer, right? Like, the one talking about all the murder and the mayhem would probably get more views than that. It's just weird. It's just, I don't know. It's just the way it rolls, do you know what I mean? And I think that's the reason a lot of, especially tabloid newspapers, sensationalise their crime. It's because it's like art imitating life, life imitating art. It's like the gorier the story, the more papers they're gonna sell, do you know what I mean? No really thinking behind the scenes that somebody somewhere is planning a funeral or visiting somebody in the hospital. They don't see all that kind of side of it, do you know what I mean? And at some point, I would like to show that side of it on my channel, because I feel that it hits home a bit more if you see that there is living people affected by criminality, criminal behaviour and all that. And that's just basically it. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, so I was actually planning on, this was one of the videos that I had planned ages ago, right? And then ended up fucking talking about something else, because this case is historic. It goes back to at least the late 1990s, right? And it was the case of this 14-year-old schoolgirl. Her name was Kate Bushell, right? And she lived in Exeter, which is like in Devon and Cornwall, like right down the southwest England. Beautiful, beautiful part of the UK. I've never been there. I've just seen a lot of pictures, but obviously, I used to live in Hastings, which is the southeast coast, so just up the coast basically. Um, But I wasn't living in Hastings when this happened. I'd actually came back up to Scotland like in summer of 95. So Kate Bushell was a 14-year-old schoolgirl, lived with her parents, I think her brother, and she came home from school one day and went to walk, I think it was her neighbour's dog, right? And the part of Exeter where she lives, it kind of backs up onto a lot of fields, country lanes, kind of lot of rural open green space. And it's definitely no, like, nothing stands out about this neighbourhood. It's actually quite a nice neighbourhood where this young lassie lived at the time. So there's nothing that this lassie was doing in her daily life that would have put her at risk, this type of offender that she walked into. She had went walking, I believe it might have been about, say, 4:30 in the afternoon, right? And she's went walking like up a field down this big country lane, right? That leads out onto this small cluster of buildings. It might be a farm or a very, very, very small village. I couldn't really tell. But she'd went out to walk this dog about back at 4 in the afternoon, right? And hadn't been heard or seen. So her dad went looking for her, and at about 7:30 at night, we're talking November 1997, so by 7:30 it's going to be pitch black, probably going to be very cold as well, because you know what UK weather's like, especially in the winter. But he tragically found his own daughter like 300 yards from where our front door was, 500 yards, something like that, in this country lane, which was clearly a well-known spot for walking dogs and all that kind of stuff, beauty spots, all that, and found her where her throat had been cut, and she was obviously deceased, and I believe the dog was still in the vicinity. And this was a really, really, really high profile case. It still is. I think it's like one of the biggest unsolved cases in not only Devon and Cornwall, but the UK as a whole, because I always remember that wee lassie's photograph, because this case was always on Crime Watch when I was a kid, because obviously Crime Watch is a really popular show, and anytime I'd see things like that, I go, who the fuck would actually go out and do something like that to a kid? But obviously I was the same age as her, I believe, at the time, maybe a year older, so if she would be ages with me now. But the 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 area where this happened is obviously a short distance from the built up house. I don't want to say housing estate, because this didn't look like, see, like council estates and all that. This looked like a middle class area where this young lassie lived, right? A lot of nice houses and all that. But she had been found in this field. Obviously there's been a serious evil act committed here. But the thing is, right, when the police were conducting the investigation, like when it was just fresh, there was reports of this vagrant living in a tent in the area, and somebody who was local had walked past one day and he'd popped out from behind a tree, say he was doing a piss, whatever, I don't know, or something more nefarious, like stalking people, looking for random victims, I don't know. But there was also witness reports running about the time that she was last seen in that kind of the window for when she was last seen to when she was found. There was witness reports of a kind of small van parked in a kind of gateway to a field round about the time of this murder. So obviously, if you were a cop, you'd be looking to speak to him first, wouldn't you? Because the reports with the vagrant were days before the murder, whereas this person that was parked in a field, parked on the gateway to a field, was in the window between when she was last seen and when she was found. So obviously you'd be able to talk to him. But I believe that I don't know if they found any DNA profile, but they found, I believe it was orange fibres, which were just random, could be fucking like this, make a t-shirt, whatever it was something, just nothing that would stick out, nothing that would be significant. Like wool, fucking poly, whatever it is, right? But fast forward 11 months later, 11 months later, this woman's out walking her dog in Cornwall, just say 5 miles south of Truro, a small place called Truro. At Lyn Bryant her name was, 41-year-old out walking her dog, and she was last seen talking to this unidentified male at the bottom entrance to a country lane, and then sadly that she was found on the kind of, see, like the entrance to it's just like a big farmer's gate. So it's a really secluded area, and it's all open fields on either side of this country lane. But see, and this happened in the first murder I just told you about as well. It's like shrouded by trees and foliage and bushes, so there's cover, and it's a kind of it's not a very well travelled road, so probably dog walkers and all this kind of stuff. But the woman Lyn Bryant, who was attacked almost a year after Kate Bushell's murder, and she was found with serious stab wounds. I believe one was to the chest, a couple to the back, well, the torso, and I believe the throat area, the neck as well. And it was said that she put up a fight. She just didn't lie down. She fought for her life, the woman, know what I mean? But sadly didn't make it. And the weird thing is, there was reports in that case, the same description of the guy who was seen in the lay-by with the van in the first murder, fitted the description of the guy in the Lyn Bryant case. But if I was being honest, I think that this is the same person, and it's not because of the description. Obviously, you would go in the description as well, because I'm not a cop, know what I mean? I just think about the type of person that would do this, do you know what I mean? For somebody to commit almost a carbon copy offence like this, it's not like you're going into a fucking library and stealing a book like anybody would, like, do you get me? This is very, very, very psychologically specific to whoever is doing this, because when you're thinking about like things like they're a couple of 100 miles apart. They're on the same the same counties. There's a knife involved, and it's the same kind of injuries. There's and the woman, Lyn Bryant, she had been stabbed while standing up and when lying down. So she'd been attacked, and then when she was on the ground, she'd been the attack continued. So frenzied, obviously. But in these kind of rural country lanes, same type of injuries, you're talking that's no just the random attacks. I don't believe that the guy who committed these offences knows the victims. I don't believe that. What I believe is whoever this person is, they have like a psychological need to hurt women, and I do believe that the crimes were sexually motivated, even though the victims weren't assaulted in a sexual manner. But what you have here is I think it's a sexual sadist. So either what I think is happening is, to me, there's two possibilities. He's turned on by the use of the knife, or the orgasm, if you want to call it that, is when he sees his work like a rush, like when he's looking down on his victim and he's just pure high on the blood everywhere and all that. That's the bottom line, and I don't think he's a disorganised killer, because whoever this is travelling in a car, so mobility. And you find where he's taking weapons to the scene, because I believe the weapon in the first, the Kate Bushell murder, wasn't found, but they know what type of knife it was. I definitely believe the guy's travelling for work, because I looked on my atlas, right, and I was kind of looking at the distances between where these attacks occurred. And there was another attack that happened in the 80s, but I don't know if it is linked to this or no, because I couldn't find enough information about it. But it was a woman dog walker murdered walking her dog in a country lane just next to Weston-super-Mare, right? And see, when I looked on the map, see the murder in Weston-super-Mare that happened in the 1980s, the Kate Bushell murder that happened in 97, and the Lyn Bryant murder that happened in 98. You could almost draw a perfect triangle between these three murders, where the Weston-super-Mare murder would be at the apex, and the Kate Bushell and Lyn Bryant murder would be the angles at the base of the triangle, if you get what I mean. And geographical profiling is actually pretty handy this day and age when you're talking about these type of crimes and that. Because to be honest, they're actually the scariest ones, aren't they? Like, there's freaks like that roaming about. And the sad thing is, this scumbag's never been caught. Which is frightening to think that guy who committed these offences, these frenzied offences, could still be walking the streets. I guarantee you, whoever that is, has got kids and most likely grandkids right this second, mate. Know what I mean? So it's fucking just sends shivers up your spine to think there's people out there like that drive about looking for lone females walking their dogs and just walk, oh, can you show me where? He's been asking for directions 100% in that. I think the Lyn Bryant murder, when she was seen speaking to the guy at the bottom of the lane, then walked up a lane. I believe 100% he stopped her or plausible about directions or something, and then went to walk up that lane, he just blitz attacked her, 100%. And interestingly, there was another attack on a mother and her 17-year-old daughter out walking a dog by a guy in a dark car, right? And it was only a few miles, I believe, from the Kate Bushell murder. So we're talking the same geographical kind of general area, because offenders have got their comfort zones. Like, even, I know it's not the same thing, but even like when I was a kid out offending, you always offend in your comfort zone a lot of the time. I know they say don't shit with you, but it depends what you're doing, doesn't it? If you're out fucking rolling about with Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z that come from across the road, that's why you're rolling about with them. It's because, do you know what I mean? But anyway, getting back to it, he had drove up behind them, and I believe they went away, but he's clearly been stalking this woman and her 17-year-old daughter, and then he's appeared again right out of nowhere behind them again, and drove into the lassie, the 17-year-old, and then got out and put a blade to this lassie's throat and says to the mother, "Two of yous get in the car or I'm going to kill her." So obviously she's getting in the car, the guy's got a fucking blade at her daughter's throats, not him. So anyway, when he got in the car, I believe that he was driving around and they just attacked him in the car and get out and get away. But the interesting thing is, I think that's the same person, but that was January 1999, so you're talking a few months after the Lyn Bryant murder, 2 months later, which I think is this offenders, the cooling off period they call it, or they changed it to time interval, but I just say cooling off period because to me he's coming down after the high of the killing it. So he is cooling off, not I mean. Because obviously time interval doesn't denote going from an aroused state or a heightened state back down to a not like normal state. You know what I mean? Where he's acting like a fucking civilised human being, or at least trying to. But the women, I believe, gave a description that was almost the exact same as the descriptions in the other 2 murders. And this is the fucking freaky thing about this case, right? See, after the murder of Lyn Bryant, the 40-year-old dog walker who was just walking her dog up this lane, right? Who was seen at the bottom of the lane talking to a guy. That entire field had been ploughed by the cops, fucking ploughed, mate, fingertip search, right? In 4 months after the murder, see the Lyn Bryant's classes, they were hanging on the fucking gate. That's creepy as fuck, innit? Know what I mean? They clearly, that guy, whoever that is, that he's took them as a trophy. I would bet money on that. Nobody's told me this. This is just me researching and reading between the lines. Because the cops would have found the glasses of they trust me, they're not gonna miss that. Hanging on the fucking, like, know how the big, you ever climbed over a fucking, you ever been going through a field or something, whatever, you need to climb that big fucking long metal gate thing. It was like one of them, know what I mean? Creepy as fuck. And that's just this guy's way of taunting the cops. To me, this guy's no somebody who's a vagrant who is fucking cracking like, oh, like, I need to hit the drink, man, I fucking murdered X amount of people. I think this guy's super in control, man. because how else could you explain being able to commit this type of violence and never once come to the attention of the cops? You would only, to me, you would only come to the attention of the cops if you were a disorganised offender. What I mean by that is, so there's other different aspects, but one of them would be like drinking or using drugs to cope with the enormity of what you're carrying in here now. You're a fucking killer now, know what I mean? You're killing for kicks. So you start drinking, taking this and taking that, and then before you know it, they're telling their fucking girlfriend or their mum or their fucking priest, whatever, they just start to crack. He's no one of them. Not anything's possible, but I don't believe it for a second, man. And I do hope they catch the guy, because nobody who goes about doing these type of things has got the right to walk the streets, man. They've not got a right to breathe, if you ask me. But and the fact that I don't really know about Britain, but America's seen a lot of kind of success with historical cold cases like that. Do you know what I mean? So just frightening to think that there's people fucking out walking about that are like that. Know what I mean? But hey ho. So that's that. But it's an interesting case to follow if you're into kind of things like that. Obviously, with me remembering it as a kid, and doing this channel, it was definitely something I wanted to come on and talk about. But aye. So back to the grind tomorrow. Got my class twice. Gone myself. And then taking my kid tomorrow night. So should be fun. Always is fun. But got to try and have another guest on soon. Chop it up in that. So watch this space. But I'm hoping to come back on tomorrow as well, because obviously, like, I've been like just looking up hundreds of shit to talk about and all that. So watch this space. But I'm got to go and tune into the telly before I hit the rack. So you take care, good night, and hope you all had a good weekend anyway, same as me. But I'll see you next time I'm back on. Catches.